Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of I've Been Playing. Today we're going to be talking about Biomutant. Biomutant was just released on May 25th and it is an RPG game, an action RPG game where you play as some type of rodent, but you are a mutant, hence the name, basically, Biomutant, right? You're mutated and even the character creation screen has some of that mutation stuff thrown into it. You start off as any other RPG, or most other RPGs, creating your character, and you can pick both kind of the type, I guess, of rodent you have, or race of rodent you have, and kind of it has the starting options of, you know, pure tank character, kind of balanced, kind of more sneaky, although I have yet to find anything like sneaky, any sneak button. I don't know if there is one, or maybe it's just because the class I picked didn't have the sneaky option. I went for the dual wield, which I think you can do with any of them. We'll get into this more later, but it has that kind of standard stuff at the beginning, but you can also pick kind of how you're mutated, I guess, is the best way to put it. So that impacts your stats such as intelligence and strength and agility and stuff like that as well. And you also have certain resistances to certain status effects that you will encounter as you go throughout the open world. And the most fun thing is that you can pick the color of your fur, so you can be like ridiculously, ludicrously colored, which is pretty amazing. Now, since this game did just come out not too long ago, I am going to warn you that there may be some spoilers. However, I myself have not gotten super far into the game and will not really be spoiling anything other than maybe the first few hours or so. So if you're not super concerned, it's probably going to be okay. But if you would rather jump in with absolutely no spoilers whatsoever, I will guide you to the part in my review where I actually review it, though there will still be gameplay footage. So close your eyes, I guess. The story behind Biomutant is that humans, as usual, have ruined the entire planet. There was a corporation called Toxinol that basically dumped toxic waste, hence the name of the company, you can probably guess from that, into the ocean as well as just basically all the groundwater, and that is why, first of all, why you're mutated, but also why there aren't humans around as far as I'm aware. I haven't seen any, and I don't think they exist anymore. You are running around human ruins and stuff, but there are no humans, but that's why the predominant life forms are now rodents, and why you are running around as a rodent. I mean, I'm assuming you're a rodent. You're a little fuzzy creature. I would be hard-pressed to be anything else, really. But essentially, now there is this thing called the Tree of Life that is being attacked by creatures, and that's bad. Because the thought of the people you're trying to help, or the people you encounter at the start of the game, I should say, not necessarily the people you're trying to help, and I'll get into why that distinction is in a little bit, but their goal is kind of to keep the Tree of Life alive, because the Tree of Life helps the entire world, or at least the world the game is set in, the part of the world the game is set in, and if it dies, everything dies. So, I would say that the main goal of this game is to save the Tree of Life, but you can decide that. You can completely decide that. There are many different factions, and at the very start of the game you pick one or the other. There are only two options at the very start of the game, and I think there are either 6 or 8 total, but you start your kind of path through the game by picking one or the other at the start. And one of them wants to... Okay, so first we're going to talk about moral alignments. There's a lot of stuff. There is a moral compass. There is a moral... your aura. It's called your aura, and it can be light or dark, or somewhat light or somewhat dark. And you align with different factions based on that, and some of them... The ones at the start are the pure light option or the pure dark option, I believe. So basically you pick light side, dark side immediately upon starting the game. And all of the other tribes are either aligned. I'm assuming, I haven't quite gotten to this point yet, but all of the other tribes, once you decide who to side with and kind of progress down their particular story path, assuming you actually stick around and help them and stick with them, the other tribes who are more aligned with that specific moral alignment will be your allies, whereas you want to take out all the other outposts for the others. So, in theory, you know, obviously probably the right thing to do is to help this Tree of Life and save, I was gonna say humanity, but I guess humanity isn't there anymore, so rat-manity? But you could also just let it get destroyed. So, it's kind of up to you, let it and everyone else get destroyed. That would be obviously the dark option, but you can do that if you want, and I assume there are not just 2 endings, I assume there's nuance. There's at least nuance in the middle, I suppose, probably, for maybe a third one. For me, I'm playing through the light path because, first of all, I mean, I'm only going to play this once and I want to see the good option, but also, like, when the Dark Side tribe was described to me, it was like they want to kill everyone, basically. It wasn't just they want to get rid of the Tree of Life or let it succumb to its fate or whatever. It was they actually actively want to kill people and actually actively want to get rid of, quote-unquote, the weak people. So I was like, no? So that doesn't seem like that particularly hard a moral choice. I'm really bad at being bad in games. I have the same problem with Mass Effect. I found it really hard to do a Renegade playthrough. Like, there's the achievement, I think, in the first one. I don't know. And there's at least one in the first one where you have to be like 75% Renegade, and I got it once. And as soon as I unlocked it, I just quit that game because I just felt too bad. So I'm really bad at choosing the bad options in games. I don't see the point of... I don't want to be a bad person, and that includes in game. I'm too, like, I don't want to make people feel bad, even in a game. But in any case, the end goal, I would say, as far as I'm aware, again, I've only played a few hours, not very far into the game at all, far enough to form opinions, but not far enough to know where the branching stories go, or branching story goes. That, I would say, is the basic gist of the story and the end points of the story, regardless of which option you choose. You know, it has to do with the Tree of Life. And if you do want to save the Tree of Life, the idea there are 4 routes. The way you do this is that there are 4 roots, and there are 4 creatures, tree roots that is, and there are 4 creatures that are kind of hanging out by each of the tree roots and destroying them, and you want to go, you know, either get rid of the monsters or help them along, I assume, if you're doing the bad path. There is also a little, every once in a while you'll get flashbacks, so there's obviously something that happened in your past, and you do play through that, and I'm not going to spoil that in particular, but you do have flashbacks on occasion to your childhood, and as you were preparing for, you know, the Tree of Life wasn't, or it didn't look like it had been grown yet, or wasn't planted yet. It certainly wasn't as big as it is now, or at, you know, at the point in the game where you're actually playing. And there is some, let's say, family history there as well. So as far as the gameplay goes, it is an open world game, so you get started with the game very early on and you follow. I would say you probably clear out the outposts. The first thing you want to do is clear out the outposts. You can follow that story mission almost immediately, and it's probably a good thing to do so, but you can kind of wander around where you want to a point. The thing I'm finding right now is that everywhere I want to go requires a specific suit because it has a specific status effect. Like, I think one of the story missions that I need to go to now is an area with no oxygen, so obviously you need a suit that gives you oxygen. So I tried to go get the oxygen suit, but it's in another area with a different status effect that I can't get through, so I need to go get that suit. And then I tried to go get another suit, and I can't get through there because there's a status effect. So I don't know if I'm just going about it the wrong way, or I can go around somehow, or I missed a dialogue at some point that told me where to go, but I feel very stuck in that way. But in theory, you can go wherever you want. In terms of combat, it's not bad, but I also don't feel very invested in it. You do unlock a bunch of special fun abilities, not necessarily related to your weapons, but just mutations that you get. The mutations are fun. You can like spring up mushrooms, you can vomit on people, which is hilarious if nothing else. And so some of those are kind of fun, but the combat itself I find, like, yeah, not overly engaging. Not bad, just not overly engaging. There was one point where I got an enemy stuck, and, or he got stuck, or I don't know what was going on there. Some sort of glitch where he wouldn't come into the arena I was trying to fight him in, and every time he'd run away, his health would reset. So I ended up just kind of waiting until he got stuck kind of in a rock and up above me on a slope, and just shot him until it went away, because I wanted the experience and stuff from it, but I didn't want to. It kept resetting his health, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to try to tempt him out into this open arena anymore, because it's clearly not working. I'm just going to do it down here. So every once in a while there is something like that, or some clipping issues sometimes. There's also the matter of the narrator, which I don't hate. I do see why some people think it's a little bit much, but I also, open world games a lot of the time I kind of play while I have something in one ear. like a YouTube video or something that I'm listening to, because I just read the dialogue anyway. So for me personally, the narrator's not that big of a deal, and I know that there is an option to make it so it doesn't show up as much. And I think part of the things that they're working on for patches that should come out soon involve more options with that narrator. So if that is something that kind of grates on your nerves, you can get rid of it. I think it's a very original idea, and I like the idea behind it. But I kind of like the fact that the narrator kind of translates what the other characters, the NPCs in the world, are saying to you, and that's an interesting concept. But the interjections when you're wandering around maybe are a bit much. But again, it doesn't bother me personally. And the thing I'm seeing with the moral alignment as well, so you have actual, like, your moral alignments are kind of actual characters, which is also an interesting thing. But it seems so obvious most of the time that, like, the correct option, it's one of those where it's not very, like, you have to go hard into being a bad person to get the dark moral alignment. And I don't know if there are going to be more kind of ambiguous morality options later, but I would hope there are, because most of them are it's like, save this prisoner or murder this prisoner. I don't know if that's actually what the other option is, but, like, there doesn't seem to be much in between, unless the option where you're like, oh, I could use some help, or versus I could help them, is kind of that in-between grounds, that gray moral area. But a lot of it just seems a little too binary, and I don't know if that's going to be the case through the whole game or not, but it would be nice if there was a little variety there. Overall, I think it's pretty fun. It's a cute little idea, it's a cute little game. It's maybe not, you know, blowing anything out of the water in terms of originality, apart from maybe the narrator, and I don't mean that as a negative thing. I'm just saying it's not gonna set the world on fire necessarily, but it's fun, and I enjoy it. I am enjoying it. I think it would be a good one to check out if you enjoy open world games and RPGs, because it's not poorly done. It's decent. You can at times maybe tell that it's made by a smaller studio, but I think it's worth checking out. You know, it's not going to click with everybody, and I understand that. And it's, like I said, the combat is... Actually, it's kind of Batman Arkham in a lot of ways, so it's not necessarily the most original combat, or sometimes it doesn't even feel like quite the most polished combat, but it is workable, it's doable, it's fun, the enemies are really fun, the NPCs are really fun, it's a fun little concept, I'm really enjoying it. So those are my basic thoughts on the game. There is some stuff I didn't go into, like the crafting and some of the weapon systems and stuff like that, but those are my basic impressions and thoughts about the game after playing it for a few hours. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have you played it? Do you want to play it? Did you enjoy it, or did the narrator get on your nerves if you did? Are you looking forward to the patches, or anything else you want to let me know in the comments below? I hope you enjoyed this. I do one of these every Monday, or I try to do one every Monday, so if you enjoyed this, leave a like and consider subscribing to get more in the future, and I'll see you next time.